I see a lot of mysticism and New Age perspectives on healing from trauma stored in the body, such as autoimmune and chronic illnesses, and haven't found anything biblically based. We'd love to hear your biblical perspective of this, if at all possible. Thanks again. Okay, the statement, I need something biblically based, is tricky, because what do you mean by that? Many black and white, as far as like black and white thinking people, when they ask the question, I need something biblical, they want a verse that says this kind of thought of trauma will bring out autoimmune in the body. The word autoimmune is not in the Bible, so you're not going to find it there, right? So there are words we use today that you won't necessarily find in Scripture. Now, I understand what you're saying, because a lot of trauma teaching can go into secular psychology, and then there's also a lot of New Age kind of perspectives that grab onto this subject. And I started this journey saying, and some people, got a little fussy about it. It's just true. I said a lot of the trauma perspectives you're going to find that are helpful, you're not necessarily going to find directly from Christians. And we're still in a new phase in humanity of understanding the impact that trauma has on people. So if somebody makes a statement about trauma and they practice New Age, it doesn't make what they said not valid if it's valid, okay? But I'm not going to necessarily sit under their teaching, be discipled by them. But like I remember sitting down with somebody who practiced just functional medicine, but she got, in my opinion, kooky and was talking to me about chakras and stuff like that. And I'm like, I have filtration that I can operate with, right? But there were some things she told me that were helpful in my journey. So going back to what you're saying, though, is what do we mean by biblical base? Does it need a literal sentence? Are we saying something that doesn't violate Scripture? Now, if you read in the Old Testament, you see a lot of trauma response in the Bible. But the Bible doesn't say this is trauma. See what I mean? We say, like, what do you mean? What do you mean when somebody says, I want something biblically based? What do you mean by that? You see all throughout the Old Testament, especially because we see more of the stories there, the anguish. So I'll give you some examples of a trauma response. They'd hear the news, somebody dying, they'd tear their clothes off, they would hit the floor, they would just weep. And they sometimes would just weep for days in grieving. So that was a basically what they teach in trauma, of you needing physiological aspects of working through emotions. You see in the Jewish practices and customs of those kind of reactions, very visceral. And we read them as modern day sophisticated people, like, oh, crazy kind of stuff, It's too emotional, too dramatic, right? That's kind of part of the problem. We have a very dismissive relationship with emotions. And it falls in our culture, it falls into our history. So if you read in the Bible to, whether it's David, and I go back to my broadcast on trauma in the Bible, my goodness, the moments where they cried until they had no more tears left in them anymore. Or go over to Job and read what his friends did when they came over, and they sat in silence with him for a week or something like that. It's a combination of just silence, of pause, of reflection, just silence alone, of like giving room, like, we're not going to be busy. We're going to pause right now. We're just going to let these emotions settle. It's in the Bible everywhere. The grieving, lamenting. Look up lamenting in the Bible. Look up the word grieving. Ask ChatGPT or Chat GPT. Sorry. Ask AI. Ask AI. Give me all the moments in the Bible where people grieved or lamented or had traumatic experiences and reacted to it. It's so if you're willing to see it, read through the Bible and read through it from the lens of trauma. read through the lens of emotions. Read through the lens, just watch. And that's something that I do a lot in my Bible reading. I just like to notice the emotional toll, the pain, the heartache. We read it and move on. So anyway, yes, there are New Age people out there. I can, if it crosses my social media path, for example, I might go, okay, that's a good viewpoint. They might make a valid point. Just like if I go to my doctor and they tell me something about a condition that's going on in my body and give me some feedback, and here's some things that might help. Okay, thank you very much. Doesn't mean I'm going to serve everything that they think and serve every pathway that they may have in their life and in their journey. So I really believe that you can be somebody that can benefit from something somebody says, but doesn't mean that you're serving their core belief systems.